Alright guys, in today's video we have three separate PlayStation 5 related topics to go over and discuss. The first has to do with Square Enix praising the PlayStation 5's ray tracing capabilities and talking a little bit about the upcoming PlayStation 5 exclusive Project Athia. We're also talking about a new rumor surrounding Spider-Man Miles Morales. This rumor claims that if you buy Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, you will actually get a PlayStation 5 remastered version of Spider-Man PS4, which is very cool if that ends up being true. And the final topic has to do with just how much the PlayStation 5 is dominating the overall gaming conversation on Twitter, which honestly doesn't come as much of a surprise, but it's still worth going over this report. So this is what we're going to be discussing in today's video. If you could do me a big favor, make sure you hit the like button to help it out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the bell notification icon as well, so you can be notified immediately anytime a new video goes live. But starting here with the comments that Square Enix recently made about the PlayStation 5, this is actually coming from the president of Square Enix, and this is what he is quoted with saying. The game Project Athia, which will release for PlayStation 5, is an open world style game in which users can freely move around the game world. PS5 dramatically improves video technology, such as with the implementation of light reflecting ray tracing technology. Compared to what you see on PC, it is nearly identical. By utilizing these special traits, we're able to create incredibly precise imagery. We still plan on developing well-balanced games tailored to a platform's traits, including smartphone and cloud-based games, but we will never stop developing for high-end platforms such as PS5. Because these things are packed with the best technology. So there's a lot of really good stuff that's being said here. The first and most obvious is that we learned in this quote that Project Athia, again, it is a big AAA PlayStation 5 exclusive that Square Enix is developing. It will in fact be an open world game, or at least an open world style game. So I know some people may not be happy about that, but if they handle it correctly and they can maybe bring, some solid stuff to the table and they create an interesting open world, I'm all for that. I think this game looks very promising. Even though we saw very little, I still think it has a lot of potential, and it's just one of the cooler games that I think was shown off during this PlayStation 5 event. The other thing he's highlighting here, first and foremost, is ray tracing. I find this interesting because you would think that, considering how much emphasis Sony has put on the SSD and IO throughput, and we've talked extensively about that here on the channel, that's the first thing that he would go to, but the first thing he goes to is ray tracing. And that's interesting to me because there have been, some people who've tried to downplay the PlayStation 5's ray tracing capability, but those who have been paying attention, especially those who've been listening to those who know what they're talking about, will know that the PlayStation 5 should have no problem implementing ray tracing. We know that it may take a hit in frame rate, but I think at this point it's safe to say that when it comes to both next-gen consoles, depending on what developers want to do, they may choose to lower the frame rate to bump up ray tracing, vice versa. But either way, he's praising the PlayStation 5's ray tracing capabilities, and we know that Ratchet & Clank is going to feature it. We know that Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to feature it. We know that other games will feature it, the ones that, where it makes sense. And so this is just another one. So yeah, good news there. And something else I do like that he said in this quote is how he does mention Square Enix will continue to make games tailored to the smartphone or the cloud, but he does say that they're never going to stop developing for high-end platforms such as the PS5 because they are packed with the best technology. So is he saying that the PS5 offers the best technology? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide that one. But either way, some good news there that I wanted to share with you. Moving on to the next topic, Spider-Man Miles Morales. It says here, Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5 reportedly comes packaged with a remaster of the original Spider-Man, according to the latest issue of Game Informer magazine. According to a post on Reddit, the new Game Informer magazine reportedly features a line which says Miles Morales isn't a traditional sequel, since it comes with a remastered version of Insomniac's Spider-Man that takes full advantage of the PS5 hardware. This isn't complete confirmation that a remastered version of Spider-Man will be included in Spider-Man Miles Morales, but it does seem strange that this would be included if a remaster isn't planned at the moment. So yeah, this is kind of strange to me because some people were saying that, Sony's not going to remaster games. And I will say, if they were to remaster this game, and it seems to me like I believe this, it just makes sense, right? If they're going to remaster this game, it does make the most sense to just include it in the standalone game that will be Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, what would they do? I think, if you think about the PlayStation 5's boost mode, right? If you were to play Spider-Man PS4 and it were to boost it, you'll probably get a slight resolution bump, maybe a slight frame rate bump. But if you're talking about a remaster, then you could see the game running at native 4K 60 FPS with possibly ray tracing. It could essentially end up looking as good as what we see with Spider-Man Miles Morales, which would be pretty awesome, and it would be really difficult not to replay it, in my opinion, if that were to be the case. I mean, the fact that Spider-Man Miles Morales is still set in the same location, this would make a lot of sense to me. It really would. It would also be a really easy way for Sony to ensure that everybody gets the full story of the, Spider-Man PlayStation games up until this point. Because you have to imagine that there probably are some people who will be interested in Spider-Man Miles Morales that actually have yet to play the first game. And you could argue that they could just do it through backwards compatibility, but still, being able to do it in a remastered version would be pretty cool. We do have to understand this is just a rumor. This is not confirmed. It is worth noting that it is coming from Game Informer magazine. So one of two things happened here. They either revealed something that they know about that they weren't supposed to reveal yet, or somebody just made a really big mistake and put this in the magazine and typed it up. So I want to say it's a 50-50 thing. There's a good chance that maybe somebody just made a mistake and was really confused. I think there's also just as good of a chance that Game Informer kind of knew that this was going to happen and somebody maybe, broke embargo or whatever. So either way, we will find out soon enough. But to end this video, I want to talk about Sony apparently dominating the conversation on Twitter when it comes to all of gaming in Q1. It says in late March of this year, Sony managed to leverage a staggering 89% global increase in video game conversation on Twitter to build interest and awareness around its upcoming PS5. 89%. That's pretty insane. That's what Twitter's chief financial officer, Ned Segal, said during the company's Q2 earnings call with investors. Despite being impacted by measures against CV, Sony did not only found a way to connect with its customers, but its PS5 campaign also managed to harvest over 1 million mentions over 2 days in late Q1, thereby having an engagement rate 4 times higher than Twitter's benchmark. Exact details about this benchmark were not shared, but we do know that Twitter tracks average engagement rates for various industries. So yeah, that basically what this is saying, guys, is that Sony absolutely dominated the conversation back in March, like basically with the road to PS5 and, all of the rumors and, conversations surrounding when is Sony going to talk about the PS5. 89%. Now, this is something that to me does not come off as all that surprising. Honestly, we know what the hype levels are for the PS5. I've known since the beginning of this year, just based off of how people were interacting with the channel, just how hyped people were for the PS5. And I think it's safe to say they're more hyped now than ever before. I mean, if this is the numbers that Sony, these are the numbers that Sony was putting up back in like March or before that, I can't imagine what the numbers must have looked like during June when they were actually revealing this stuff and having the event and showcasing the PS5. Something tells me that they've only climbed higher. And so all in all, this is just good news. It goes to show that the awareness for the PlayStation 5 is as high as it possibly could be, at least on Twitter. I know Twitter is not exactly representative of the rest of the world or even real life, but still, it is, in my opinion, a pretty decent way to gauge, at least for certain products, how much interest there may or may not be. And it's not just Twitter, honestly. That's what we're talking about now. But if you look across the internet and all social media platforms, you look at YouTube, you look at Instagram, you can very clearly tell that, yeah, the PlayStation 5 is just dominating the conversation to a point where Like I said in yesterday's video, apparently Sony is expecting to sell 120 million PS5s in just 5 years. So yeah, had to take some time to go over this news with you guys. That's going to do it for the video. I want to know what you have to say about Project Athia, what Square Enix's president is saying about ray tracing on the PS5. Let me know your thoughts on this PS5 or the Spider-Man, remaster on the PS5 if you buy Miles Morales. And let me know what you think about PlayStation dominating the conversation. I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.